Good evening and welcome to The Pulse. In part 2 of tonight's show, how can something as simple as a free TV licence allocation lead to a constitutional crisis? First though, Hong Kong's workforce is expected to decline precipitously in the next 2 decades. By 2041, only 1.8 people of working age will be having to support one dependent elderly person. Currently, the ratio is 5 to 1. On Thursday, the government launched a 4-month consultation on population policy, and it's a policy that involves a wide range of factors.
Recent reports suggest that immigration is increasing as Hong Kong people are becoming increasingly jaded with living conditions, air pollution, education problems, and the political direction the city seems to be taking. Hong Kong residents are also having fewer children. Encouraging immigration is one solution, and the People's Daily is keen to support the immigration of mainlanders to the SAR. Yet widespread immigration from the mainland is yet another issue that's worrying Hong Kong's long-time citizens. Some are concerned that the aim is essentially to introduce cheap labour that will undercut Hong Kong's workers and change the city's face and culture. Announcing its 4-month consultation on population policy, the government revealed that it's not likely to change its views on immigration from the mainland.
我哋覺得不應該咧係改變呢個單程證嘅計劃嘅。單程證嘅計劃咧係有佢個憲制嘅基礎。你哋講嘅嘢都同人口政策息息相關。
The 4-month consultation is asking for views on such issues as immigration, labour, retirement age and family planning. The government sees mainland migration as the major source for population growth, even while Hong Kong is finding it harder to attract expatriates from elsewhere. The government says it currently lacks data on how mainland migration may augment the workforce.
我哋有做所謂人口嘅人力資源嘅推算 manpower projections， 但係佢未夠精細嘅，佢只係以教育嘅水平嚟到去分嘢，但係並不能夠講到俾我哋聽究竟係喺邊啲嘅經濟嘅活動裏邊呢係需要邊一類嘅人才。
There is in some quarters strong opposition to importing labour. The consultation paper points out that there are already shortages in some industries like construction and catering. However, it doesn't raise the issue of how the existing population might be retrained to support the economy.
The whole paper gives me an impression that it's more like a human resource policy instead of population policy. We should be talking more about the quality of life of the people in Hong Kong.
Some had hoped the government would address housing and poverty concerns, which are closely related to the population policy and to people's decision to have children.
They said that housing is not concerned in this paper because we have these long-term housing strategies. And then the universal pension system, we've been talking for years, but the paper said, well, we are not going to deal with this. But these are all related to the population policy that we've been talking about. So I think it is we are quite disappointed that these kind of issues are not being dealt with in this paper.
Well, with us in the studio are Paul Yip, a professor of social work and social administration at the University of Hong Kong, and Audrey Yu of the Civic Party. Paul Yip, can I come to you first? Because in fact you were a member of this steering committee that's produced this consultation document. Many people say that actually what this is a document not about population but about the workforce. Is that fair?
Well, I think the workforce itself is one of the important of the population policy. We cannot deny that. But one of the very important things of this consultation document is to try to make Hong Kong to be sustainable, and then our quality of life will be better tomorrow. So don't put just too much emphasis on the workforce itself, but we are talking about how to create a Hong Kong to be an Asian cosmopolitan city.
The whole question seems to have been framed in the needs of the workforce, not in the needs of society in general.
Well, whether you like it or not, by 2018, our workforce is going to come down. Our population size is going to go up. Now, we do need to find the people who do the job. Now, at this moment, because we have a very low fertility rate, occurred in the past 2 decades. So that's why we are really lacking of these people who are working for the Hong Kong development. So that's why the workforce itself indeed is a very important component, I think, for the population policy.
Audrey, would you have liked to have seen a wider document, or how in fact do you view population as a political priority?
Well, of course, for a small, crowded place like Hong Kong, population policy is very, very important. But it seems to me that this consultation paper doesn't really ask the important questions. I mean, because now we feel that a lot of people actually are not coming to Hong Kong and are leaving Hong Kong. So the big question is why? I mean, when you watch television and see, for example, there's a long queue for kindergarten places, I mean, you can well understand why the fertility rate is low. And also when you have really, really, really long working hours and low pay and so on. And also, I mean, even when you have, you try to attract talents from overseas, but then suddenly you find that there is a shortage of international school places. So, I mean, if you don't solve these problems, and also, of course, the housing problem, I mean, you always hear the government talking about lack of land and, even sort of talk about invading into our country parks. And how do you begin to, attract talents from elsewhere? And how do you, in fact, deal with the unhappiness index in Hong Kong?
But what you're saying does suggest the need for a more proactive population policy.
And I think a lot that has to be done is really making Hong Kong an attractive place. I mean, Paul, you talk about making Hong Kong sustainable. I mean, a lot of people feel that Hong Kong is not sustainable. They don't have hope. I mean, if you can't even choose the television station that you want to watch, I mean, you see people camping out outside the central government offices because government is depriving them of choice in relation to television. I mean, how do you begin to say, well, we think Hong Kong should be a sustainable city?
I think we have used the chapter 4 and chapter 5, to tell about how do we enhance our human capital. I mean, that's very important. I mean, we also in chapter 5, we are talking about how to make Hong Kong as a more family-friendly living place and working place as well. Actually, they do has spelled out very specific thing what we are hoping for.
Can you just pluck a couple of examples out of things that you think are priorities that need to be acted on now?
Well, it's very important. I think we keep our population. I think the capacity, I mean, not only in terms of the quantity and the quality as well. It is because now when we see our aging problem, I think in the 10 years' time, I think there's this post 60 people, they're going to retire now. So what we expect is these young people, they have to become even more productive than what we are now in order to maintain our current level of living. So
that's the problem. That's not the. So what are the priorities for the solution?
The solution, when you're asking me, invest on the education, invest on the skill of the Hong Kong people. And also, if we do not have enough that, bring in the foreign talents. I think bringing the foreign talent that meet our needs, I think that is very important.
Audrey, where do you see priorities here?
Well, I think I'm worried a bit that the consultation paper gives people the impression that it's all about the short-term labour shortage. I mean, if you compare the amount of money that the government has spent on infrastructure and the money that is being spent now, I mean, you understand why there are a shortage of short-term labour. But this seems to be saying because of this shortage, we now need to import, labour from abroad. And it's not really dealing with the main problems that Hong Kong is now facing. I mean, we're lack of resources in everything, in hospital beds, to kindergarten school places, and to land for housing. and international school places. And if you don't solve these problems, you don't begin to attract people to stay in Hong Kong and to come to Hong Kong.
I mean, we've had these...
and I didn't mention pollution either.
You didn't mention pollution,
Yeah.
indeed. But we've had these population studies before, and nothing's happened. Do you have any reason to believe that this time it will be any different?
I think in 2003, I was a member of this Population Policy Committee as well. I mean, for the past 10 years, because you don't see anything. Because at that time, I think partly because they do not see the urgency of the problem. But now, because 2018 now it is closer now, then we do facing the problem. And actually, it's from that point time onwards, we are talking about a continuous reduction of our workforce. So it is not a short-term problem. It's a long-term problem of we do not have enough talent or working people to sustain the Hong Kong development. And that's why we have to work on it right now and right here and try to improve our opportunities for our young people, because we do need them, I think, to support the whole development. And that's why we say that we have to be proactively in attracting the talent to come to Hong Kong. When you see in Shanghai, in Singapore, they are going out, I think, to sell their country, to try to get the best people to come. They try to make the things more attractive. They try to get the housing problem, get the air clean, get the educational right. I mean, these are the things that we have to work on, definitely.
Well, Paul, thank you very much. And Audrey, we'll be back after the break.